Hey generator installers, Mitch here with SwiftSocial. I wanted to show you guys in today's video the best possible ad set level targeting settings that you can be using for your generator Facebook ads to get as many leads as possible for your money. So first thing I wanted to talk about, and we're going to go over all these ad set level settings, but first thing I wanted to talk about, probably the most important thing, is location targeting. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make over and over and over again when they do location targeting on Facebook is they make it way too complicated, right? So simplicity is key when it comes to location targeting. I see people do stuff a lot of the time like this. So I'll go ahead and I'll drop a few pins and show you kind of an example. This might be a little extreme, but you'll get the point. So what I see a lot of the times is people, they'll go ahead and they'll do a bunch of different radiuses like this, for example. And what happens is they end up having overlap between the different areas that they put for the targeting, right? And just like these two right here, if your ad targeting ends up looking like a Venn diagram, then you're doing something wrong. And that means that the Facebook algorithm is going to be inefficient, especially if you look in these areas and stuff right here where there's a lot of overlap. What's most likely going to happen is the Facebook algorithm is going to get kind of confused by that, and it's going to lead to your ad spend being spent less efficiently and the algorithm getting more confused, and basically you just wasting money. And not getting as many leads as possible for every dollar you spend. So what we want to do instead is you want to just Hey, real quick, if you're a home standby generator installer and you want 3 to 5 plus additional generator installs per month, which is about $30,000 to $100,000 plus in new revenue every single month, I'll build you an advertising system just like the ones I show you how to build in my videos here to do that for you, and I'll run it for you totally for free for 2 weeks. And if you don't love working with me, you never pay me a penny for it. So if that sounds interesting, go ahead and click the link below to book a quick phone call with me in the description, and that's go.swiftsocial.org. And I'm looking forward to talking to you. Thanks. Simplify your targeting as much as possible. So ideally, you're just going to have a center point like this with, 20, 30, 40, 50 mile radius around it, whatever your service area is. If it's a little bit bigger than that, you could do, like a list of counties, a list of zip codes. What we're really trying to avoid more than anything, though, with the targeting, with the inclusions, is we want to avoid having overlap. So if you could do a simple list of zip codes, a simple list of counties. Personally, my favorite, and I think what gets people the best results usually, is just using, one pin with a radius around it if you can manage to fit your service area in there, or, at most a couple pins, and you want to make sure that they don't overlap. So for like example, you could do something like this, where you have, one radius over there, 15 miles, let's say 20 miles, and they're close, but they don't quite overlap. So what we want to avoid is overlap and making it too complicated. I talked about this other point in another one of my videos recently, but another big mistake that people make with targeting is having exclusions. There's some niche circumstances where having exclusions could be a good idea, but in general, what happens a lot of the time is, let's say, you're this client that I'm showing you right now, and this was your service area, 30 miles around, Wiley, Texas, right? What happens sometimes is maybe there's somebody who lives in North Richland Hills right here, right? That's where they live at, but they work over here in Irving, right? So what happens is they wake up in the morning, they go drive to work, they work in Irving right here, and then on their lunch break, they get on their phone, they get on Facebook, Instagram, they see one of the ads right here, and they're one of the people, they're interested in getting a generator installed. They fill out the ad, and then they go home, but their home is in North Richland Hills. So the person, my client in this case, you end up getting a lead, and it's like, well, shoot, the lead's from outside of the service area. Why did that happen? So sometimes what people will do to kind of combat that, or try to, is they'll go ahead and they'll just put like an exclusion right here. I don't want any leads from North Richland Hills. Okay. But the problem with that is what happens when vice versa, you have somebody who lives in Irving, for example, and then they work in North Richland Hills, so they're actually your ideal customer and they're in your service area. They want a generator, but they travel outside of the service area into an excluded zone, and then they go ahead and they use Facebook and Instagram on there, and the Facebook algorithm goes, well, shoot, they're a perfect person, they want a generator, they're the perfect age range, they check all these boxes, but they were using Facebook and Instagram and they're in an excluded area, so we're not going to show the ads to them anymore, right? And then they go back home, they go to Irving, and they never end up seeing your ads, even though they are somebody who's in your service area. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to try to combat out of area leads with exclusions. Most of the time, it's just part of the game, and there's not really a lot you can do about that. It's just a numbers game, and you're going to get people from outside of the service area sometimes. What you can try doing is honestly, if you have problems with people being from outside of your service area a lot of the time, and you're sure that your targeting is simple, kind of just like this, like a simple, radius around a center point or a few counties or something, and it's in the right location, I would try to address that problem on the actual ad level and somewhere in your funnel. So if there's a place that people are going to read a lot in the ad, whether it's in the ad copy itself or whether it's on the survey that they have to fill out to get a hold of you or the lead form, you shouldn't be using those, by the way. I'm going to make a video about that. But you should put that you don't service people outside of whatever your given service area is inside of the ad or somewhere in your advertising funnel itself instead of trying to combat that issue with the exclusions. Because what's most likely going to end up happening is you're just going to exclude people who might have actually been good customers, right? So next thing we're going to talk about. So yeah, basically to summarize, the location targeting, keep it as simple as possible. Don't have too many locations. Don't have overlap on different radiuses, and don't use exclusions. Next thing I want to talk about is age. So for age, what you want to do is you'll notice when you go into Facebook and you create a new ad set, by default, it's going to have this Advantage Plus audience turned on. You can always play around with it and test it, but from my experience, most people who are going to be interested in getting generator installs are usually going to be at least age 35 to 40 plus. And so spending ad dollars trying to, show ads to people who are underneath that age range usually just ends up being pretty inefficient. So what I go ahead and do when I create a new ad set is I turn off Advantage Plus audience, right? And so after we turn that off, what that allows us to do is actually manually change the minimum age that we want to show. And I would recommend doing age 35 or 40 plus for the generator ads. That you could even maybe do 45 or even 50 plus. That might actually be good, but usually what I do is 40 plus, and that works really well. For genders, we want to do all genders, and this is another big problem that people run into. So sometimes what people do is they get all excited and they see this advantage detailed targeting, right? Where you can actually manually type in different interests or behaviors that people have, right? So you could go ahead, for example, and type in, homeowner or something like that, or put in, people might do, people might do like generator, right? And then people might go, oh, okay, electric generator, right? I'm trying to find people who are interested in generators, right? And then, I don't know, is there home improvement? Is that a interest? Yeah, okay, so home improvement. So I want people who are homeowners because they're interested in home improvement and they're interested in electric generators and they're interested in, electrical and stuff like this, right? But the problem is, you could just put, I don't know, just something random like a electric contractor. I don't know. But the problem is when you do this advanced interest targeting right here, you actually kind of shoot yourself in the foot because the people who are interested in generators, even though they're interested in them, they don't usually end up popping up um, and flagging on the Facebook algorithm as people who are interested in these kind of things right here, just because it's like, yeah, it's something they're interested in, but they don't spend a ton of time like clicking on posts and stuff about those things, and it's just not, something that comes up a lot. So what happens most of the time when you actually do interest targeting like this is you actually put your ads in front of other electrical contractors or other generator installers as opposed to homeowners, which is obviously not what you want to be doing. So, when it comes to the advantage detailed targeting, the best thing you can possibly do is actually just leave this totally off. So, you don't want to do any advanced detailed targeting, no interest targeting, no interest behaviors, demographics, something like that. Just leave it totally blank. For languages, obviously just do all languages. But yeah, to summarize this part of it, keep the location targeting super simple, age 40 plus, all genders, and don't ever do the advantage detailed targeting. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is placements. So you can play around with this. Sometimes you can do the advantage plus placements, which is on by default. But what usually happens is when you start a generator ad campaign with the advantage plus placements on, is it's going to spend money until it figures out what's inefficient and it figures out what is efficient and the best placements to put the ads on. And basically, if you spend enough money like I have, you'll figure out that the best places to pretty much have generator ads are going to be on your Facebook feed, Instagram feed, and then Instagram stories, Instagram reels, Facebook reels, right? So you can kind of save yourself a little bit of money at least when you start a new campaign or start a new ad set by just having those be the default options that you select from the get go instead of wasting money for the algorithm to essentially figure the same thing out for you, and take a longer time to do it. So I would just start off, I'd use Facebook feed, Instagram feed, both stories and both reels for the placements right there. And again, you're going to also have to manually switch over to manual placements because it's going to have the Advantage Plus on by default. So go over to manual, select those 6 placements. Before you go ahead and publish it, you're going to want to go here and make sure that it says 6 out of 20, or sometimes it says 21, depending on your ad account and what settings you have. And then yeah, that's and then there's one more thing I guess that's probably worth mentioning too. So you'll notice when I started this campaign, this was actually a very new client that I took on. He's doing really well. But you'll notice when I started the campaign, I started it at 6 o'clock in the morning. So what happens sometimes is when people go ahead and create their campaigns, it'll be 2 p.m. or 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. or it'll be 10 o'clock at night or something like that. Like they're home after work and you want to get your ads up and going, right? And so you set, a certain budget, whether it's for the ad set, whether it's like $50 per day or $50 a day for the campaign, whatever it is. But when you start that campaign and it starts delivering at, let's say 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., it's still going to try its best, the Facebook algorithm is, to spend that $50 over the course of the day. But the problem is if you only have 4 hours left in the day, it's going to be forced to try to spend that $50, but it's probably not going to spend it as efficiently as it otherwise should have because there's just less likely to be, the best opportunities to spend the ad spend on and present it to the right people with only a few hours left in the day, right? So basically, if you end up starting your campaign later in the day, you're probably just going to waste a bunch of money that you shouldn't have wasted. So what I would recommend doing is, unless you're making a campaign pretty early in the day yet, I would recommend scheduling the campaign to start the morning of the next day. And you'll see for this one, I scheduled it to start at 6 a.m., but you could even do a little bit earlier. You could do 4 or 5 a.m. or something like that, just to make sure you really get that full day and your campaign starts off on the right foot and you don't waste any money on that. And one more thing is end date right here. So even if you do plan on ending your campaign for some reason on some given date, you never want to check this box because I don't know for sure. And Facebook, they won't tell you this, but it seems to me from my experience that whenever you do a campaign and you set an end date to it, Facebook is usually less favorable. The Facebook algorithm is usually less favorable and doesn't treat you as good if they know that you're basically going to be leaving and stopping paying them. So that might not be true, but that's been my experience with it. So even if you plan on ending a campaign, I would just go until that day or whenever you want to end it, and then I would just turn it off manually instead of having an end date in here. Okay. So just to recap real quick, I guess, schedule, you always want to start campaigns early in the morning if you can. You never want to have an end date set in there. As far as targeting goes, you never want to overlap different radiuses and you want to keep everything as simple as possible. You don't want to have exclusions. If you're getting a bunch of people from outside of your service area, number one, confirm that you actually are targeting the correct areas. And if you're doing that, then address it inside of the copy or somewhere in your advertising funnel that you only service this given area and that people outside of that area shouldn't fill it out because you don't work there, right? And then as far as age, you want to do 35, 40, probably 40 plus for the age minimum, all genders, and then you never want to touch the Advantage detailed targeting because that's just going to put you in front of other contractors and other generator installers instead of the people you're looking for. And then as far as placements on the ads, go ahead and save yourself some money and time and just check Facebook feed, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Instagram reels, Facebook reels from the get-go, right? And that's basically the best targeting settings that you can use on the ad set level in Facebook. So if you guys are interested in me setting up something like this for you, I offer a 2-week free trial for anybody who's interested in doing generator advertising. Most of my clients get between 3 to 5 plus new installs in their first month working with me. So if you're interested in something like that and you want to have a quick phone call with me about it, feel free to click the link in the description below this video and book a quick call with me. I'm happy to talk with you about it. And I hope you guys got a lot of value from this video, and thank you for watching. Bye.